Hey, morning, guys. It is this is April 19th, actually April 19th now, and the study today is from just a verse out of 1 Kings 2. And so, if you don't know the story of King David, who had the one of the greatest empires, and that is why when we speak of Jesus and his reign, he is of the house of David, but his kingdom will be eternal. And so David was mightily used by God. God had started with Saul. Saul had failed him, and David was mightily used by God. Even among his failings, he was a man after God's own heart. And so, in the kingdom of David, when it ended, he had many sons, and he turns the kingdom over to Solomon. But before that, there is a rebellion by his son Absalom that tries to tear the throne from him, and it almost does. It succeeds in tearing away a lot of the kingdom and a lot of his loyal followers. But it's talking about Joab here. Joab in particular is what Chambers is getting at. Joab, David's most loyal general, fights with him when Absalom rebels. But then when Adonijah, which is David's son, wants to take the throne, and David has promised it to Solomon, has given the throne to Solomon right before he dies. Adonijah then tries to connive, and he tries to use Solomon's mother Bathsheba actually to take the throne in a really underhanded way. And through all that, Joab, David's most trusted general, sides with Adonijah. He is the one that kind of comes up with this plan, or is complicit in this plan to take the throne from Solomon. And what Chambers is getting to today, and for Joab had turned, this is 1 Kings 2:28, for Joab had turned after Adonijah, though he turned not after Absalom. And so, sorry, a little distracted. And so what the point is today is that the big thing he succeeded in not compromising, but the small thing he did. And so Chambers is reminding us that we never know what temptation is going to undermine us, or take the wind out of our sail, and that's not the right word, take the foundation out from under our feet. And so he reminds us that towards the end of his life, he turned after Adonijah. Later in life, he was loyal, and then he turns after Adonijah. And so that's one of the things, first of all, that we remember is that we're never, not just that we're never beyond being tempted away from God. It's almost as if in the later years we have to be more and more vigilant, because that's actually times when we might be more tempted or more vulnerable, I'll say. And he reminds us, Chambers does, that after going through the big crisis, be alert over the small things. The small things, the least things, he says here, those are the things that might catch us. And the reason why they might catch us is because, think about a fighter, and when they see a big upper hook coming, or an uppercut, sorry, when they see a big uppercut coming, they might be really vigilant about saying, "Oh wow, that's the knockout blow. I'm gonna watch for those." But they don't see it coming from a roundhouse or something else that they were not necessarily looking for, because it wasn't the big knockout blow, is the one that gets them, takes them down. And that's our humanity. That's what happens many times, is the big things don't get us, it's the small things that do, and it did with Joab. He says, don't forecast where the temptation will come. It's the least likely that is the peril. The least likely sometimes is the danger. And he reminds us that we've remained true to God under great and intense trials. And sometimes that's the problem. We think, oh, I've been tested and found faithful. I've been tested and found faithful, because the big things, we said, oh, I've been found faithful in the big things. But he says, now beware of the undercurrent, the small things. The small things will add up. And it's, there's an expression about a million small cuts or something like that. Not one big cut, but a million small cuts. And that's where a lot of times our integrity with God will come unraveled, if you will. The small threads that are pulled, and the whole thing becomes unraveled. And at the end, this word of kept by the power of God, that is the only safety, is a really good reminder that even outside the big stuff where we think God keeps us and preserves us, we need him to preserve us in the small things. So you guys have an awesome day.